Some of you may have already heard this thing. I've heard it a couple of different places. I heard it on AM Talk Radio, and I happened to watch a thing on the Young Turks on YouTube about it. And it's the public policy poll. And these guys just aren't any pollsters. The guy on the Young Turks said Cenk. I can't remember his first name. It's not Cenk. It's Cenk. He's Turkish. I can't remember his whole name now. But anyway, he mentioned that this polling organization got the election right and did better than the other polling organizations. So they're pretty trustworthy. And they took a poll of voters on conspiracy theories. 37% of voters believe global warming is a hoax. 51% do not. Republicans say global warming is a hoax by 58 to 25% margin. Democrats disagree 11 to 77. The independents are more split at 41 to 51. Of Romney voters, blah, blah, blah. I know this is going to be long and boring. I would go through it. I'll just try to hit the highlights. But imagine 37% of voters believe global warming is an absolute hoax. And they're not saying that, oh, well, the science isn't quite right there, or global warming is occurring, but it's not man-made. No, they believe the whole thing is a hoax. 6% of voters believe Osama bin Laden is still alive. Now, what you were saying, real man? 21% of voters say a UFO crashed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. Okay, there's the wording there, okay? I happen to be from New Mexico. I came over to California. I'm pretty much a Californian, but I was like 7 years old when we moved here. I was 7 years old. The word of a lot of times when people hear the word UFO, they mean an alien craft, or they think that. And I think that's what these people responding to the poll is saying. A UFO is simply an unidentified flying object. And something did crash in Roswell. Something did. Okay? Whether it was a weather balloon or some sort of Russian spy satellite or whatever, something did crash there. Or some experimental aircraft that the U.S. was working on. So I, for one, believe that a UFO crashed in Roswell. Now, whether there's aliens hanging out, what is that, Hangar 51 or something like that, or they got frozen aliens stuck somewhere, no, I don't believe that. Let's see. Romney voters, 27% believe, and Obama voters, 16%. So the Obama voters are a little more cynical about that stuff. 28% of voters believe secretive power elite with a globalist agenda is conspiring to eventually rule the world through an authoritarian world government or new world order. 28%, a plurality of Romney voters, 38% believe in the new world order compared to 35% who don't. 28% of voters believe Saddam Hussein was involved in the 9/11 attacks. And you know who we can blame? George Bush for that. Even though later Cheney and Bush said, no, he didn't have anything to do with it. They led us into the world, basically leading people to believe that. And there should be like 2% of just the crazy nut jobs or people that answer the polls as a joke. 28%. 36% of the Romney voters believe Saddam Hussein was involved in 9/11. 20% of voters believe there is a link between childhood vaccines and autism. 51% do not. I'm not sure about that. I just think that some of the people in that vaccine bit, I think some of the loonies pull out, group with that. I don't know. If I had a child with autism, I would be blaming somebody or something. I definitely would be. Didn't it say something about folic acid and having something to do with that? I'm not sure. I remember there was a study that said women have to take folic acid from the get-go, from the beginning of the pregnancy, probably even before they get pregnant, because if you start midpoint, it doesn't do any good. And I'm not sure what the benefit of folic acid is. I just know pregnant women are supposed to take it. 7% of voters think the moon landing was faked. I'm glad it wasn't more than 7%. 13% of voters think Barack Obama is the Antichrist. There's our segue. Including 22% of Romney voters. Oh, come on. Everybody knows the Antichrist isn't black. It's like that little kid on The Omen, right? He's born into like European... Yeah, nobody's going to accept a black Antichrist. Come on. You know, you all know that Jesus Christ wasn't white, right? He was born in the Middle East. You know that, right? So maybe he could be. But he isn't African. He's like, you know, Arab Jewish looking, you know, Middle East Jew. Voters are split 44% to 45% on whether Bush intentionally misled about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. 72% of Democrats think Bush lied about WMDs. Independents agree 48 to 55%. Just 13% of Republicans think so. I, for one, believe that he intentionally misled us on that. 29% of voters believe aliens exist. Okay, now that's another one of those words where the aliens, like, do they mean grays? I mean, I believe there's life out there, but I don't necessarily mean that believe that there are physical, you know, those grays or whatever walking around. I tend to think it's some sort of like another type of paranormal thing, rather than actual beings from another planet sort of thing. I think it's another fourth dimensional thing. You know, all those myths about, you know, fairies and brownies, and I'm talking about more the British Isles, those are the words they use, leprechauns. But in all cultures, they have these mythical beings. You know, United States or Middle Europe or something, they would say demons. You know, they would see a demon in the woods. And I think that these alien sightings, the Greys, etc., are the modern equivalent of that. Instead of saying I saw a demon, now we say I saw an alien being. But I do believe there's life out there. And maybe saying an alien being could be a type of, you know, algae or one-celled, you know, creature of some sort. You know, 14% of voters say the CIA was instrumental in creating the crack cocaine epidemic in America's inner cities in the 1980s. I don't know what to think of that. 9% of voters, I think it's a sort of a African-American paranoia, but maybe they're right. The CIA does get in some really messed up stuff. You know, they do. 9% of voters think the government adds fluoride to our water supply for sinister reasons, not just dental health. Remember Dr. Strangelove? That's what the guy, the military man that went insane, was believing? Yeah. 4% of voters say they believe in lizard people controlling our societies by gaining political power. Yeah, there are lizard people everywhere. George Bush, Bill Clinton, all our leaders are lizard people, right? There's people, I've run across this guy, he seemed really sincere on YouTube, really seemed like he believed in it. And he was talking about what weaponry you can use to kill a lizard person. 51% of voters say, oh God, I hope he doesn't actually try it. Because I don't think that the person he kills, I don't think it will be a lizard person. 51% of voters say a larger conspiracy was at work at the JFK assassination. Just 25% say Oswald acted alone. I've never seen the Oliver Stone film, so I don't know about the lone gun thing. I haven't looked into the whole. People have talked about like it's impossibility of one bullet from that trajectory doing all the damage that it did. That there must have been another gun. Maybe there was. But aside from that, I really do believe that there was something going on. There were people that empower other places, in other places of government, and other places in the corporate world or whatever, in the banks, that wanted to take him out. Some guy said a pretty interesting thing is that JFK wanted to do the same thing that Lincoln wanted to do. And I guess it was to take the power away from the Federal Reserve. And look what happened to both these men. Now I get me wondering, I might have to join that Federal Reserve bandwagon. Or just the banks in general. I don't know whether it was the Federal Reserve, but they both wanted to take power away from the banks. 14% of voters believe in Bigfoot. 15% of voters say the government or the media adds mind-controlling technology to TV broadcast signals. The so-called tinfoil hat crowd. Any of you guys remember, in our group or whatever, I think I was the first person that I saw to vlog wearing a tinfoil hat, and then a few people followed suit. I was doing a vlog on that that movie that came out. They got a lot of conspiracy people all hyped up. What was it called? Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember what it was called. Hey, I got a lot of hits on that video back in the good old days when just an insignificant person without any money, you know, or corporate backing or anything could post a video on YouTube and somehow get like 20,000 hits, you know, and have it not be, you know, a person getting hit in the balls or you know, or a cute cat video or something like that. 5% believe exhaust seen in the sky behind airplanes is actually chemicals sprayed by the government for sinister reasons. 15% of voters think the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry invent new diseases to make money. Just 5% of voters believe that Paul McCartney actually died in 1966. I'm glad they asked that question. I really am. 11% of voters believe the U.S. government allowed 9/11 to happen. 78% do not agree. I don't think Bush stood back. I honestly don't. I've said this many, many times. I don't think there's a vast conspiracy. I don't think Bush is that evil of a man. Maybe Cheney was, no, of a person to say, I'm just going to let this happen. You see this sort of thing in conspiracy type movies or something where some person is in power. In order for them to grab more power or let something really terrible happen to get, you know, the people behind him. You know, and that's what happens when I was talking earlier about everybody putting their faith in one strong leader. And who knows, I maybe would do the same thing in a really, really dangerous situation. Just say, look, we have to hitch our wagon to this guy, you know. I would hope not. I'd be one of the persons that would really, really question it. I hope I'd be the last person to do that. But I believe it was just sheer incompetence. Is that they didn't listen to the intelligence that Clinton tried to pass on to them, and they were too focused on taking out Saddam Hussein. That's what I really believe. I believe it was incompetence and not through just a sheer evil, you know, intent. Okay. I should wind this up. Now I have to chop this darn thing up into pieces. I think there will be a part 1, part 2, and part 3. All right, everybody. Have a great week. This is Citizen Kong. Cheers.